Going to do some dye sublimation onto these Baltic birch wood blanks using two different methods, one polycrylic and one laminate sheet. Coming up. I'm Roger, welcome to the loft above the shop, and what I'm going to be doing today is some dye sublimation onto some Baltic birch plywood. This one here has been coated with 2 coats of polycrylic. This one here is bare wood, and what we're going to put on that is some laminate sheet like you use when you laminate documents. And we'll get into how all that works here in just a minute. We'll back up first here though to what I'm going to be putting on there. This is my graphic. It's printed on sublimation paper with sublimation ink, and it's mirrored because it's going to go like this. So on the first one here, this is 1/2 inch Baltic birch plywood, and these are going to be some signs for shows for use indoors. This is not an outdoor material. Don't try to use Baltic birch outdoors. It'll deteriorate rapidly when it gets wet. But what I've done here is this has been sanded to 220 grit paper, a coat of polycrylic, as you see here. And after that is completely dry, this is sanded with 400 grit sandpaper and another coat of polycrylic. Let dry completely. And then final sanded lightly with 400 grit sandpaper to make this just completely smooth. Now the other blank that I'm going to be using to put the laminate on is the same process. It's been sanded to 220, and from here I will press some laminate on it and we will sublimate onto the laminate. Okay, what about the laminate? You can get this at various sizes at various places. This happens to be a 3M brand. I don't have the box anymore. But this is a pouch, which is actually 2 pieces like this, and your document would go inside that, then you would laminate it. We're only going to use half this sheet, so you can cut it with a pair of scissors, or you can just peel it apart like that. Now, you got a shiny side and you got kind of a matte side. That matte side will go against the wood like this, and I'll heat press that on there at 385 for about 10 seconds, just enough to get it to stick. As soon as the heat press warms up, we'll take this over there and I'll give it a 10-second press, get that stuck, and then I'll show you how I'm going to line up my graphic on it. Okay, to line this graphic up, there's several ways you could do it. You could cut out around there or whatever, but the easiest way I've found is if you look close at the top, bottom, and the 2 sides, like right here, you'll see little pencil marks. These are my registration marks. This one right here is the center. This here is the bottom of the graphic. This is the top of the graphic. That way when I lay my piece of wood on top of this to put the heat resistant tape on to hold this in place, I know how to center this, because obviously you can't see through the wood. I don't have that Superman X-ray vision thing going on. So we'll take this over, lay it on the table, and we'll put some tape on it. Okay, I've put the laminate on my piece of wood here, and I put it in the heat press for 20 seconds at 385. So what I need to do now, and I just put it on there with a full sheet, because a lot of times when you do this, you'll get some shrinkage. And if you've had it cut to the exact size of your project and it shrinks, that's not going to be a good thing. I'll just take an X-Acto knife. I'll go around the outside border of this, like so. And next, you see I have my graphic here. Take my laminated piece, and I'll get it lined up with my registration marks I have on here from earlier. Get everything nice and square. And I'll take the heat resistant tape. This is so that the image does not shift. That one's ready for the press. I'll take the one with the polycrylic and do exactly the same thing. You definitely want to make sure you put the polycrylic towards the image. And we're ready for the heat press. Okay, you'll see I have the heat press set at 385 for 60 seconds. Swing that out of the way. This will be the one with the laminate on it first. You want it with your sublimation paper on top, some parchment paper underneath, parchment paper on top. Why do I use parchment paper instead of butcher paper? It's because nothing ever sticks to it. Swing this around. Give it 60 seconds. Okay, next to the heat press, I have a heat mat that I use with my, it's made for a Cricut Easy Press. That's where I'll lay this on, because it will be hot. And we'll let that sit there and cool for just a minute. Okay, and after it's cooled for a bit, pull the paper off. As you can see, almost everything transferred. And we'll have to pull the rest of that heat resistant tape off of there yet. Don't touch that yet, it's hot. But I need my piece of parchment paper back. We'll let that sit on the mat there. Now we'll set the other one up. This is the one with the polycrylic. Yes, that piece of parchment paper is a little scorched, but there's no ink on it, so I don't need to worry about anything transferring. Okay, 385, 60 seconds, medium to firm pressure. I'm ready to pop this one out. Let that cool for a little bit. Alright, as you can see, that paper really stuck to that polycrylic. I've got a way to get that off though. Okay, I was really not expecting the paper to stick to that polycrylic that much. But I'm going to do the same thing I do with my glass cutting boards. I'm going to get this wet. Of course, that's not real good for the wood here, but I'm not going to just soak it either. I'm going to get this wet and see if I can get this to lift off like I do with my glass boards. And we'll just let that set for a few minutes. Well, if this works like my glass cutting boards does, this should come off now. If you're wondering what I'm using here, this is one of them Dollar Tree little plastic scrubby things. So it does leave a milky white film behind. No, it doesn't take the ink off. That's permanent. So let me dry this off. Now we'll do a little bit of a comparison between the two. Okay, now putting these two side by side, and this one here is the polycrylic one. As you saw, the paper stuck to it bad, but the water was able to take that off. I did notice there are a couple of little bubbles that raised up in the polycrylic during the heating, but you don't see them unless you're just right on top of it. This one here is the one that was done with a laminate. so you can kind of compare them side by side. I like the laminate look much better. It's a lot glossier. It has that nice high gloss, and I think it would actually wear better than the one with the polycrylic on it. So as you can see, there is a difference. There's two different methods of doing this. Here with the laminate, or here with the polycrylic, and as you can see, a little bit of a tone difference, not a whole lot. This one here with the lamination is obviously a lot glossier. We've done quite a bit of sublimation with glass, and I do have videos on it, a couple different ones. We make a lot of these, we sell a lot of these. So this is sublimating on vinyl, on glass is nothing new to us. I wanted to make a couple signs for indoor craft shows, that's why I made these here. One thing I do want to do in a future video in conjunction with the laminate is have a white base coat. If you are sublimating the wood, keep in mind that what your background is going to make a huge difference on how your graphic comes out. And this is very light colored wood, it's Baltic birch. I do want to try one with a completely white background, and I'll get some high heat paint a blank, and then we'll put the laminate on it, and then we'll sublimate to it. We'll see how that turns out. But that'll be a future video. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up, always helps the channel. Otherwise, I'm Roger in the loft, making some signs. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.